questions that have been asked so far in this debate illustrate why the American people don't trust the media. This is not a cage match. And you look at the questions. Donald Trump, are you a comic book villain? Ben Carson, can you do math? John Kasich, will you insult two people over here? Marco Rubio, why don't you resign? Jeb Bush, why have your numbers fallen? How about talking about the substantive issues people care about?
Texas Senator Ted Cruz in last night's Republican debate calling out the bias of the CNBC moderators. Was that the big money moment in that debate? Let's bring on our political panel to discuss this. We're pleased to be joined via Skype from Washington, D.C. by two political experts. First of all, the former personnel secretary to President Bill Clinton, David Goodfriend, and also from D.C., former senior staff advisor to President George W. Bush, Brad Blakeman. Brad, I ask you first, was that the big money moment last night? Will people remember Ted Cruz taking on the moderators in the days and maybe years to come?
I think so. But you know, the failure was for the GOP to get suckered in to a debate like that. Certainly they did the vetting. They know who these reporters were and commentators, and they walked into a trap. And what you'll remember is not what the candidates said, it's what the questioners posed. And that's not what debates are supposed to be about. It's supposed to be about the people answering the questions, not the people asking them.
David, you may have a different take on this. Do you think this is just conservative carping and complaining about a straightforward job by the CNBC moderators?
No, I think it's a theme we've encountered before. Remember when Donald Trump said at the first Fox News debate that he thought he was being targeted by those moderators, and in fact, the female moderator that asked him questions, he then addressed in a very derogatory way, and even after the debate said, I was set up, this was an attack on me, this was designed to bring me down. So my view is that there seems to be a theme that the Republican candidates come back to, whether it's Donald Trump aiming at Fox or Ted Cruz aiming at CNBC, that the media is out to get us. And I don't know, I mean, if it plays well with Republican voters, great, but it doesn't seem to be limited to CNBC or last night's debate.
Yeah, and if it has the added attraction of being true, I guess it sticks. You brought up Trump. Let's take a look at Trump taking on Ohio Governor John Kasich last night.
He was such a nice guy, and he said, oh, I'm never going to attack, but then his poll numbers tanked. That's why he's on the end. And he got nasty. So you know what? You can have him.
Now, Brad, Trump may not use a very sophisticated form of counterpunch, but it's a pretty effective approach, is it not?
Well, I'm not so sure. He's starting to slip in the polls, and he's become the Don Rickles of the Republicans. And I think that his welcome is wearing thin. I think people have seen this show before, and they don't seem to be taking to it like they did when he initially came on the stage over 100 days ago. So I'm not so sure much longer he can get away with this. Sooner or later, he's going to have a ground game. He's going to have policies. And there's got to be more to Donald Trump than just the insults.
Donald Trump as Don Rickles. Well, that's an interesting take on things, Brad. David, I know you watch these Republican proceedings with a little bit of delight and more than a healthy dose of skepticism. But after that preamble, in your mind, David Goodfriend, who was the big winner last night?
Well, I think it was a big night for Ted Cruz, and the clip that you played illustrates why. You know, he must be somewhat frustrated that he's not consistently able to break into that top 3 slot, and he needed to do something big. And I think he conducted himself well. If it wasn't Ted Cruz's night, then I would certainly give it to Chris Christie. I think Chris Christie had an excellent evening as well, and probably faces a similar tactical challenge. That is, how do I break out of the pack, try to get into that top 3 slot? And I think he too showed himself to be well equipped for last night's debate. What I will say, though, is in the aftermath of the debate, what I look at is perception is more important than reality. And I think the online overnight polling and the snap polling that I saw showed Republican voters by almost 20-point margins, thought that Donald Trump won the debate. And so in that sense, it was great for him.
All right, we will see what happens very quickly, Bradley. Your winner last night, 20 seconds.
Marco Rubio. I think Marco did a great job. He was on the defense, but he also got on the offense. And that's what you need to do to score. But the bottom line is people are talking again more about CNBC than they are the candidates. So it really was a wash, I think, for everybody.
All right, Brad Blakeman on the Republican side of things, David Goodfriend with a Democrat perspective. Gentlemen, we thank you very much for your assessment of GOP debate number 3. You've probably heard about the shocking new book, Unlikable, The Problem with Hillary by Edward Klein. Unlikable has already skyrocketed to the top of the bestseller lists. It's probably the most powerful expose on Hillary ever written. The author, Edward Klein, wrote the #1 New York Times bestsellers, The Amateur and Blood Feud. Now in Unlikable, Klein offers a stunning, powerful expose of Hillary Clinton and her floundering race for the White House. With unprecedented access, Klein meticulously recreates conversations and details of Hillary Clinton's behind-the-scenes plotting. Klein also reveals the angry rivalry between Hillary and Barack Obama. Now, Unlikable retails for $29.95, but you can get it with our free offer. So, get this almost $30 value today. Just go online or call the toll-free number on your screen. With the 2016 election fast approaching, you need to get Unlikable and be armed with the truth about Hillary. Check out our incredible offer right now.